Hey guys, so today we're checking out the 9-inch HD Tempest LED headlight and fog light set fitting all 2018 and newer JL Wranglers. So if you're really looking to step up your lighting performance for the front end of your Wrangler, then this set is going to be a great choice to take a look into. This set is going to include both the headlight and the fog light, upgrading your factory lights to a projector LED, which is going to be great for you guys out there that are looking to up your lighting performance with a bright white light and a more uniform light pattern. So that's going to help you out with visibility on dark back roads, dark trails, and even just driving around at night, and is also going to give you a very sleek look with the overall setup. Considering that these are matching, they're both going to have those projector LEDs, but what I really like about these is the fact that they're going to have that halo there. It's going to act like a daytime running light and is also going to have RGB HD technology, so you can hook these up to your iPhone, change them to whatever color that you'd like, and they're even going to have a bunch of lighting effects on the app that's included in this kit. That makes it perfect for somebody who's really looking to customize the front end of their Wrangler as well as the lighting, and I think it makes it stand out from the rest as far as other headlights and fog lights go. Not to mention, these are also going to be built very well. These are going to be durable, great for somebody who's looking for a headlight and a fog light that's going to hold their own while they're out on the trail. So as far as pricing goes, this is going to be, as a kit, roughly $800. In my personal opinion, I think that you're getting what you pay for out of this kit. These are going to be, again, built very well. They're going to be built with a high quality LED. You're getting a lot of bells and whistles, and not only are you just getting headlights, you're also getting fog lights in the kit. Now, what I really like about this is the fact that, of course, they have that color technology where you can really customize it to whatever you want. Perfect for somebody who's really looking to change up the front end of their JL from the rest, but it's also going to come with a plug and play kit with a little bit of wiring when it comes to just hooking it up to the battery. That makes it really easy for you to get these headlights in and get a custom look on the front end of your Wrangler. So in my personal opinion, I think you are getting what you pay for when it comes to that $800, considering the quality, the durability, and just all the extra bells and whistles that you get in this build and in this set of headlights and fog lights compared to the other choices. Now, as far as install goes, like I said, there is some wiring, but it's very minimal and very simple. The rest of the kit is plug and play. You're gonna need some very basic hand tools in order to get the job done. So speaking of that install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for my install were an impact wrench, an electric ratchet, a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, a 12, 10, 8, and 7mm deep socket, a T20 torque socket, a small extension, a 3mm Allen key, a Phillips head and flathead screwdriver, a pop clip removal tool, and a wire tool. For this install, we're going to start with the headlight. So what I'm going to do first is take off the grill. So you'll need a flathead screwdriver or a pop clip removal tool in order to take off that grill. What we can do next is lift up on the top of the grill to make sure that the 2 pins on either side are out, and then we can just give this a good pull and release the clips down at the bottom of the grill. Then we can remove our grill. Now, in order to remove our headlight, we need to take out the 3 10mm bolts. So I'm going to use a 10mm socket and go ahead and remove those. Headlight will move out of place. It's held in by a couple of pins. Then we can pull the headlight forward. There's gonna be a clip on the other side for the wiring harness. We're gonna press down, pull back, and then we can put our factory headlight aside. So before we actually mount up our headlight, I do want to lay out our wiring harness first because there is a lot going on here, and I will explain what I'm doing once we get to that step. But you want to grab your wiring harness, and we're just going to unravel everything. It's going to look like a bit of a mess at first. However, it is a very simple wiring harness, and most of it is plug and play. So just taking a look at our wiring harness, we're gonna have 4 main connectors. These are both labeled. They're gonna go to the driver's side and passenger side headlight and fog light. We're gonna run those up to the front, Just lay those there for a second. And then we have some colored wires on the back of our control box. Now the red and the black, those are going to go to our battery. That is our power and our negative, or our ground. So then we're left with the white, yellow, and blue wire. We will not be using the white wire, so we can tie that out of the way, put that away. And then we also have a driver's side and passenger side channel with a spade connector on the end. Now this is going to go into a split harness that we're going to plug into our factory turn signal fender wiring harness. So these will sync up, or the headlights and the fog lights will sync up with our fender turn signal. So we will get to those in just a second, but right now we're gonna lay out our harness. So we want these up at the front, right here. I am just going to take all of our main plugs, send them down through. And this control box is actually gonna sit in the middle, just so we can reach everything. Just wanna line everything up first. So we can actually send the driver's side over to the other side. I am going to keep the passenger side over here for right now with our main plug. And don't worry, we will tie this all up out of the way. This is going to come down kind of to the center here. That's a good starting point for us. Then we'll take our yellow wire. This is going to be our driver's side turn signal wire. I'm gonna try to keep this as clean as possible. This is actually going to go over to the driver's side fender. Now that's not actually going to sit there. I just want to make sure that this is laid out correctly. So I'm just going to reroute these wires real quick. Just make sure it's as clean as possible. Keep the passenger main plugs here. We can send these 3 wires up across and then leave those there for the meantime. Now we can mount up our headlight and plug that in. Now that we have our harness organized and where it needs to sit in order to evenly plug everything in, what we can do is plug in our passenger side headlight. You're going to use the connector from the control box. You're gonna line up the little arrow, press that together, and then you're gonna have a little threaded cap. Tighten that down, make sure that that's sealed. Then we can go ahead and plug the other plug into our factory harness. You'll hear a little click. What we can do now is mount up our headlight. So you're gonna have a couple pins that line up. We're gonna take our factory hardware. It's gonna be those 3 10mm bolts. Thread those in by hand. Then we can tighten up the bolts with a 10mm socket. So at this point in time, our headlight is mounted up and we would usually do the other side. However, I want to go into the fog light install and show you guys both the headlight and the fog light next to our factory headlight and fog light. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into that. So in order to access our fog lights, we will have to take off our side trim pieces. However, it's a little bit easier to do that once our lower splash shield is out of the way. So we're going to remove the clips that are holding in the front with a trim removal tool, and then we can move to the back bolts or back screws with an 8mm socket. So now we can take out these screws in the back with an 8mm socket. Same for the other side. So once that second screw is removed, we can remove our lower splash shield. So next we can take off our trim piece. This is going to be held on by a number of screws around the sides. So what I'm going to do is take a 7mm socket and a little extension just to give myself a little bit of room here since this does come back a little bit, and we can go ahead and remove all of those.
Once all the screws are removed, this one's being a little stubborn, we can just wiggle out our trim piece. And then that will expose our fog light. So what we can do now is just unplug this and we'll be able to remove our fog light. So on the sport bumper, you will have 3 T20 Torx screws that are holding on our fog light. On the Sahara bumper, you're gonna have 4 8mm screws. So what I'm gonna do is just take a T20 Torx. Right, once those are removed, we can pull back our fog light and remove it.
So before we can attach our fog light, as you can tell, it is a little bit different than our factory fog light. This is the sport fog light, so this comes out of our sport bumper. This is going to have 3 mounting points as to where this is set up like a Sahara fog light or the LED package fog light, and that's going to have 4 mounting points. So you are supplied with brackets for the sport bumper. You also are supplied brackets for the Rubicon bumper too. So what I have to do in order to have this mount up correctly is attach a bracket here. Now this is going to act as that tab, and then those 2 mounting locations on the other side are perfectly aligned with our bumper. So I am going to grab our provided hardware. This is the button head bolt, and I'm actually going to send it through the back here and then lay our bracket down on top. Same with the bottom one. All right, and we can take our bracket, lay that down on top. Then we can take our washers and lock washers. Then we can take the nut, thread that on, and we'll tighten that down with a 7mm socket and that Allen key that we just used. As you can see, I also have a microfiber down. I just want to make sure that the lens on the fog light is not scratched by the table. You also want to make sure that it's oriented the correct way. What I did was just lined it up with our factory fog light, and you'll be able to tell what is the top and what is the bottom because it will say DOT and SAE up at the top of the lens on the new fog light. So now that our bracket is installed, what we can do is head over to the Jeep and attach this with our factory hardware on our tabbed side with the bracket and our new hardware on the other side. So what we can do now is mount up our fog light. Now we're going to have a long Phillips head screw as well as a spacer for the 2 mounting holes on this side. And then we're going to reuse our factory Torx screw over on the right hand side. So before we go ahead, mount that up, I'm going to prep our fog light with the spacer and the Phillips head. So as you can tell, there's a spacer behind there. Just going to go ahead and line that up. Take a Phillips head screwdriver and just get it started. So now that it's started, we can take our factory screw, line that up with that mounting location. You can take that T20 Torx and tighten that down. And before we tighten it down all the way, we want to make sure that we get this other spacer and screw in. I'm just going to put that behind, line that up, and line that up with our bumper. So we can completely tighten down our factory screw with that T20 Torx and grab a Phillips head screwdriver and tighten down those 2 Phillips head screws that are provided in the kit. So once that is nice and tight, what we can do is plug in our factory harness to our split harness here. This is going to go on the factory style connector. And then we can take the wiring harness from the control box, or the wire from the control box, line this up just like we did with the headlight, plug that in, and screw down this little cap.
And then we can put on our trim piece.
So now that our headlight and our fog light are mounted up, what we can do is start to wire them up. Now first we're gonna take our split harness and our wire for our turn signal wiring harness, and we're gonna install that before we attach our wires to our battery. So I'm actually going to leave this off of the spade connector right now. I wanna drop this wire down. This does not seem to go past the battery tray. So we are just going to drop this behind the battery tray into the wheel well area, and that is where our harness is. Now, I would like to mention that you will not have to take off your inner wheel well in order to access the wiring harness. However, I took it off to give you guys a better view. So once that is underneath our fender, we can plug this in. And we're gonna take this harness and plug it in between our factory harness. So again, you don't have to take off your inner fender liner. I just wanted to show you guys where this is located. So you can actually just pull it back if you have it installed, but it is going to be attached up on the top part of our quarter panel. It is held in by a clip, so I'm gonna take a trim removal tool and just remove it so we can have a better access to the plug. And then we can unplug this. Right? So once that's unplugged, we can take our split harness and plug that in. And then we can clip this back into the quarter or the body here. And then we'll tie all these wires up in just a minute after everything's installed, but now we can head to the battery. What we can do now is attach our leads to the battery. Now these are just gonna come as standard wires, so we do have to put a connector on the end. So I'm gonna take a pair of wire stripping, crimping, and cutting tools. Strip the end here. Put a larger one on the positive wire. What I also do really like about this is the fact that it has an inline fuse. Makes it a little bit more efficient. Right, we can put this down. Same for our negative. That down. And then we can attach them to the battery. So I'm gonna start with our positive lead. Take a 12mm socket. Just remove one of the accessory nuts. Make sure that these aren't tangled up. Put this over here, make sure that's not touching any metal. Then we can reattach the nut. Tighten that back up with the 12mm socket. Then we can grab a 10mm socket and take off the negative accessory nut. Tighten that back up with the 10mm socket. If you are using connectors like this, I would recommend to heat shrink them as well as just wrap them up with a little bit of electrical tape. But now that those are on our battery, our headlights and our fog lights are receiving power from the control box. So before we wrap up this install, I did want to stop down and tell you guys a little bit more about this new headlight and fog light set and what benefits that you're going to get out of this new setup in comparison to your factory setup. Now right off the bat, you can tell that this new setup, this new headlight and fog light are going to be completely different as far as the lighting technology goes and the overall housing and the overall design. Now our new headlight and fog light setup are going to have a black housing on the inside, giving a very sleek look to the front end of the Jeep, and the headlight is going to have a riveted outline on the outside, which is going to give more of an aggressive look, which I do really like in comparison to the more basic design that our factory setup is giving us with that chrome reflector and that halogen bulb. Now our new lights on the table are actually going to be a lot more durable. This is going to be made of a die-cast aluminum housing. It's going to have a textured black powder coat finish on the back, which is going to protect that from any corrosion. The lens themselves are going to be a lot stronger, made out of a polycarbonate material instead of the plastic materials that are used on our factory housing and lens on both our headlight and our fog light, and they are going to be IP67 rated, which essentially means that they are dustproof and waterproof. So when you're out on the trail kicking up dust all day, or if you go water forging with these headlights or fog lights, the LEDs inside are going to be a-okay. Now the big step up is obviously with that lighting performance. What I do really like about these is that they are going to be a lot cleaner, have a more uniform light pattern, and shine a lot brighter than your factory halogen bulbs. Now the factory bulb, that's going to be perfect for stock applications. However, if you're looking for higher performance lights, an LED setup like this is exactly what you want to go for. Now, these are going to be a projector LED both on the headlight as well as the fog light. That's going to illuminate the light a lot farther down the road, more uniform light pattern, and it's overall just going to help the performance of the LED itself. Now, this is also going to have a 6000 K color temperature, which is a bright white light, and that's going to again look a lot cleaner, a lot more modernized, and match with any other LEDs that you already have on your Wrangler, as to where the factory halogen is going to be more of that yellowish or almost amberish hue just because of the lower color temperature with a halogen bulb. Now what I really like about these is the fact that these set themselves apart from even the factory setup and a lot of other LEDs on the market. They have a halo on both the headlight as well as the fog light, but they're not only going to just act as a daytime running light, they also have HD RGB technology included. So you are able to hook up your Android or your iPhone to the halo itself. There is going to be a control box that will actually actuate all of this, but all you have to do is hook up your smartphone and you can change the halo to any color that you'd like, and you can also change it to any effect that you'd like. This does come with an app that has up to 121 lighting features, so you can really customize the front end and your lighting setup to really however you want. So not only are you getting all of the lighting benefits from the headlight as well as the fog light, they are going to sync up with each other, and not only are they going to sync up with each other, but you do get a split harness for each side for your turn signal wiring harnesses, so they are going to sync up with your turn signals as well. That's something that I do really like about this setup, and obviously it is a big upgrade from the factory one. So enough about these two on the table side by side. Let's go finish up our install. What we can do now is just repeat that process that we did on the passenger side, now on the driver's side. So I'm going to start with our headlight. So again, I'm just going to leave one of these wires out for our fog light and just route these two back. This one's going to be for our headlight. This one is going to go back to our turn signal. So I'm just going to leave that over on the side there. Make sure that this is oriented the correct way. Plug that in. Make sure you hear a click.
So I already installed our bracket here. Now we can just tighten everything down in place. We'll tighten this up with a Phillips head screwdriver. You will have to give it a little bit of pressure to get it started. Plug in our factory style harness. We can plug in our control box wire. Right? And after that is connected, we can just put our trim piece back on.
So on the driver's side, depending on what model you have, you may have a black fuse box here. What I'm going to do is take out the two 10mm bolts that are holding it on, because on the driver's side, we'll be able to access that turn signal wiring harness from the top if we just move this out of the way. So I'm going to take a 10mm socket, just take those two bolts out. This windshield line is going to be held on by a couple of clips. Be able to unhook this, put this aside right on the brake master cylinder. So what we can do is take our driver's side yellow wire with our spade connector, plug that into our split harness or split connector. Now I already undid this from the clip, but it's going to be located right underneath that black box. All we have to do, push this red tab back, unplug it, plug that in, tuck that away. What we can do next is move our fuse box back to where it was. Hook these lines back on, put them down, take our hardware that we took out originally, and just mount this back up. 10mm socket, tighten those up. And then we can put our grill and our splash guard back on. Next, we can put on our splash guard. Now, I would recommend to tie all of your wires out of the way. There's some space underneath the upper splash shield where you can put them. There are a number of ways to do this. I just use some zip ties, and also the control box has some 3M backing on there, so you can stick that wherever you like. You just want to make sure that it's away from anything that is hot or moving, because you don't want them to get hooked on anything. Then we can attach our splash guard. So I'm going to start by attaching the screws in the back, tightening them up with the 8mm socket that we used before. Same thing for the other side. Once the screws are attached, we can take our clips and attach them up at the front of our splash guard. Alright, now we can reattach our grill. Now we can take our grill, line this up, press the top forward, the pins will set up at the top, and then we can give the bottom a good press. You should hear everything. Right, now we can take our pop clips, After your grill's installed, what we can do next is close up the hood and then we'll be all set to go. So that's going to wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe, and for more videos and products like this, always keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.